So she's across the street, and then she's also from across the street.
Oh my God.
This may look like an ordinary home video, but shortly after it was filmed, 8-year-old Maddie Clifton was murdered by the 14-year-old boy holding the camera, Josh Phillips.
This is probably the worst murder scene I ever worked.
Phillips is accused of beating and stabbing 8-year-old Maddie Clifton.
I could tell that she was struck in the head 3 times.
Josh Phillips' crime shocked and gripped America, and at 15 he was sentenced to die in prison.
Joshua Earl Patrick Phillips, it is the sentence of this court that you be confined in prison without the benefit of parole for the rest of your natural life.
In the UK, even in one of the worst cases, the murder of James Bulger, the juvenile killers were released after just 8 years. However, in America, adult crime means adult time.
A 12-year-old is facing very serious adult charges.
But now a Supreme Court ruling may give thousands of killer kids the chance to walk free in the future.
You want me to tell you how old you are?
15.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll be meeting Morgan Leppert, dubbed the Blue-Eyed Devil, when she was given life without parole for the brutal murder of a disabled man.
You can see where our victim was laying right here on the floor.
And I've unprecedented access to the landmark hearing where 20 years after he murdered Maddie Clifton, Josh Phillips has the chance of an early release.
The focus is, who is Josh Phillips today?
I'll meet the family of his victim, Maddie Clifton.
She doesn't get to walk the face of this earth again. Why should he?
Josh's mother.
No, this can't be what I think.
And the killer himself.
Why did you kill Maddie?
Should children who kill die behind bars? Or should they be given a second chance?
Should he ever be released from prison, I pray that I will no longer be on this earth.
Hi, I'm here to see Josh Phillips.
Yes, ma'am. Just go ahead and sign in right here for me.
Yep.
Jump strap.
I've come to America to meet Josh Phillips, one of Florida's most notorious murderers. Since Josh discovered he has a chance of freedom, I'm the only journalist he's agreed to speak to.
Hi. You can have those taken off if you want to.
Josh is now 33. He was just 14 when he brutally murdered his 8-year-old neighbor, Maddie Clifton, and was locked away for the rest of his life.
What were you like when you were younger?
I liked books. I liked reading. And I had a bunch of birds. I love birds. I get in trouble for it. That's one of the things I get in trouble for in prison is feeding the birds. I bring bread out of the chow hall, and I'll feed the birds all the time.
Joshua Phillips was 14 years old when he killed Maddie in one of Jacksonville's most infamous murder cases. The Supreme Court, however, ruled life sentences for teenagers unconstitutional, and that is why he is here at the Duval County Courthouse this morning.
All right, let's come back to order. This is the state of Florida versus Joshua E. Phillips.
In 2016, a Supreme Court ruling gave inmates like Josh, who were given life without parole as children, the right to challenge their sentences.
So, Ron, are you ready to proceed with your argument?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may do that, please do.
I want to draw your attention back to November of 1998. The Cliftons lived in a middle-class neighborhood on the south side. They worked, they went to church. The Cliftons were living the American dream. And unfortunately, on Tuesday, November 3rd, 1998, their world was forever changed.
The prosecution, fighting to uphold Josh's life sentence, opens by setting out the details of his crime.
Did he demonstrate it to you actually how he struck her?
Yes, sir. I took the baseball bat, and he did that, and then she quieted down, but then started back, and he then took a third full swing onto her head. And then he said he stabbed her in the throat.
With a knife?
Cut her throat, yes.
At the time of the murder, Josh Phillips was living in Lakewood, a suburb of Jacksonville, where he'd recently moved with his family.
What's striking about this neighborhood is it's pretty, it's peaceful. It looks like a lovely place to bring up a family.
Tell us, if you could, about what it was like to have a younger sister.
It was nice to have someone to actually play with instead of...
You were 3 years older than her?
Yes.
Now? Okay.
So it was nice having a friend and a playmate, and someone that I could call my sister.
Hi. Hello. I'm Susanna. Hi. Jessica, how are you?
Jessica and her little sister Maddie lived directly opposite the house that Josh and his family had moved into.
Then there's a neighbor from across the street.
Was he your friend?
We hung out almost every day, but I mean, like, we were all very close, and it was kind of like the new guy, making him feel welcome type thing.
But you liked him?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're kids, you know, it's just like, oh, that's someone else to play with. Let's, you know, the more the merrier. That's kind of how it was, and so we just all kind of got along.
Can you take me back to the day that Maddie went missing?
I knew everyone was down the street playing, so I basically walked out the front door just like she did. Right after that night, I went down to this house right here, and she wasn't there. So we continued to play for about an hour. My mom called us in, and I told her, I said, you know, Mom, Maddie's not with me. And I said, but I think she's down at Jeff's. So I hopped on my bike that was in the garage right there, rode down to Jeff's house, and she wasn't there. That scared me a bit.
So we just went from house to house to house to house asking, have you seen Maddie? And we never found her.
Jacksonville 911.
My daughter went out to play this afternoon, and now she's missing.
And so then you and everybody else in that neighborhood went looking again for Maddie.
Everybody kind of congregated. I got everybody down by my house, and I said, we've got to find her. She's here somewhere. And then the helicopters came. Yes, it was like a circus.
You guys kept looking, and Maddie was nowhere to be found.
It got to a point where I actually stood out in our front yard and urinated in my shorts. I was so upset, screaming her name.
Honestly, this is one of the largest investigations I've ever been part of. The community outreach to this was incredible, to say the least.
Were there hundreds of people volunteering?
Thousands.
Did this continue for days?
Yes, sir. For days. I thought it would never end.
Tell us how you found out what happened to Maddie.
Well, the police knocked on the door and came in, and from the looks on their faces, I knew.
We found Maddie Clifton this morning. She was dead.
And the first thing I said was, where was she? And the police said, right across the street.
I cried, and I ran out the garage door, and I started yelling her name, because I didn't want to think that that was true.
Where was Maddie at that moment?
Josh's house. She was inside his room, this window right here to the right. His bed, Josh's bed, was up against that wall, that window, and that's where she was.
Following the discovery of Maddie's body, Josh was tried and convicted as an adult.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree, as charged in the indictment.
What do you think about Josh as a 14-year-old boy, prosecuted for murder as an adult and sent to prison for the rest of his life?
You know, life in prison without parole as an adult at 14, that's absolutely, I mean, what he did to her, and she doesn't get to walk the face of this earth again. Why should he?
Josh was facing a lifetime in prison with no chance of release.
But the Supreme Court said that these mandatory automatic life sentences without parole, condemning children and teenagers to die in prison, were unconstitutional.
This ruling means that Josh Phillips' sentence could now be significantly reduced, unless the judge is persuaded that Josh still poses a risk to society.
The defendant, through this brutal murder of Maddie, robbed her of her chances to go to school, to fall in love, to get married, to have children, my grandchildren. The defendant now wants a second chance to live a normal life. Can he be trusted outside the confines of his prison home? And there lies the quandary.
This is a unique murder. It is rare that you have an individual, granted 14 at the time, kill an 8-year-old girl in the brutal fashion that he did.
The prosecution has 4 days to convince the judge of their view that Josh Phillips should never be released.
So that, with all due respect, shows how diabolical he was. That shows his true character.
Josh's mother, Melissa, is attending court to support her son in his fight for freedom.
I can't imagine what Josh Phillips' mum has been through, because her son's not dead. But she has to deal with the fact that her son was responsible for that crime.
Hi.
Hey, I'm Susanna.
Hi, Missy.
You got some birds?
I do. He was Josh's bird, so I've had him quite a long time. This picture was one of my favorites. He was 12, and this was a Mother's Day when he was dressed up in a suit and tie. Wanted to take me on a date, a special date. But it was very important for him to give me more than just a box with something in it. He wanted to make a memory.
You must ask yourself, what about his childhood and his growing up led to what he did?
As a parent, as a mother, when something like this happens, you start to second guess yourself. You start to think, was I too lenient? Was I too strict? What did I miss? Did I miss something?
Were you part of a homicide team that became involved in the investigation and trying to determine where she was, where her body was?
Yes.
While Maddie was still missing at the height of the search, the police visited houses in the neighborhood, hunting for clues.
Specifically, did you end up going to the Phillips residence?
Yes, I did, sir. I was going through his room. I had searched in the closet. There'd been a big pile of clothes, and I went through those, and there was a teddy bear at the bottom. Then I said, Josh, what do you think may have happened to Maddie? And he said, I really don't want to think about what happened to her.
At this point, the police accepted that Josh wasn't a suspect and moved on. But some days later, Melissa began cleaning Josh's bedroom.
I'd been nagging him about his room because it was in deplorable condition. So I had a garbage bag, and I was going to start putting stuff in that I knew was trash. In the course of it, I saw a wet spot on the floor at the corner of the bed. He had a water bed. It was a soft side water bed. And so I just kind of pulled up the cover, and I touched the pedals of the bed, and it just kind of fell apart. And in the interim of that, something hit my hand. I saw a sock. I'm like, what the heck is this sock doing there? So I went to grab the sock, and it wouldn't come out. And so I get on the hands and knees on the floor. That's when My eyes registered it, but my brain wasn't connecting. This cannot be what I think it is. I remember just like, oh God, oh God, oh God, this can't be what I think.
A neighbor calls police to her home across the street from Maddie's home. She's made a gruesome discovery in her 14-year-old's bedroom. A body is stuffed in his waterbed.
I was a crime scene investigator for 16 years.
Have you gone to a lot of murder scenes?
Yes, this was one of the worst murder scenes I ever worked.
In the midst of all of that, I remember looking over at the Clifton's house and thinking, right now they still have hope. And in a minute, I'm not gonna have it anymore.
Sir, is this the baseball bat you recovered?
Yes, sir, it is. Yes, that was the one that was found in Josh's bedroom.
In terms of the injuries to Maddie Clifton's head, I could tell that she was struck in the head 3 times. Dr. Floro talks about a lot of force is necessary to fracture the skull that way. This is the neck of Maddie, and it shows 2 holes. These are stab wounds to the interior front part of the neck of Maddie. She was still alive at the time these injuries were inflicted.
In his confession, Josh said that he and Maddie were playing baseball at his house alone when he hurt her by mistake.
And his version of what he claimed happened, did he state that he accidentally hit Maddie Clifton with a baseball?
Yeah, he said they were playing in the backyard by the swimming pool and did not know if it had been the ball that hit her or if it had been the bat. She became loud, starting to scream, and that's when he took the bat and struck her.
Did he tell you why he did it?
He said that he was afraid that he was going to get in trouble with his dad, and he only wanted her to stop crying. I questioned him. She'd been hit in the head. Why do more injury to her? And he said he was just afraid and panicked.
Josh told police he was terrified of his father's reaction when Maddie got hurt, because he'd been forbidden to have friends over when his parents were out.
He was very imposing. It was just the way he carried himself. Like, he broke my door down damn near one time. You know, I was in the room, he was upset, and he just smashed right through it like a rhino. You could just pick up this barely restrained violence. And that just terrified the heck out of me.
Why did being a scared kid make you do something so monstrous?
If I did something wrong, I just wanted to hide it from him. I didn't want him to know. And when that happened, I felt there was no turning back.
Steve Phillips died 2 years after Maddie's murder, but Josh has always maintained that it was the fear of his father that led him to kill Maddie and hide her body within the base of his bed, where he continued to sleep for 6 nights. On recovering Maddie's body, the police reported another disturbing fact. Some of her clothes had been removed.
Now, did Joshua Phillips tell you how Maddie Clifton's panties and shorts were removed from the body?
Said that he had attempted to drag her from outside. That's when her pants and panties came off.
As part of the medical examiner's autopsy, a rape kit was done, and there was no evidence that Maddie Clifton, thank God, was raped. One of the other things, prior to the murder, the defendant was using the computer to look at pornography. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
All right, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.
Despite the fact Josh had been viewing pornography shortly before he killed Maddie and her missing clothing, police did not prove a sexual motive. The US is the only country in the world that sentences juveniles to life without parole. Josh Phillips' case is notorious, But he is just one of around 2,000 prisoners across America who were locked away for life as children.
The mood was emotional inside the courtroom as Morgan Leppard heard that she would indeed be spending the rest of her life behind bars.
Morgan Leppert was sentenced to life without parole for a murder committed when she was just 15.
We're now pulling up to the residence.
It's quite isolated.
Yes.
Morgan was arrested along with her boyfriend after a 66-year-old disabled man, James Stewart, was found beaten, stabbed and suffocated in his Florida home.
And the minute that I opened this door right here, I could smell the odor of death. You know, it's something that once you get in your nose, you'll never get it back out, and you'll know it every time you come across it. As you come around this bend here, you can see where our victim was laying right here on the floor. As you come through this hallway, I noticed on the far side over here, there was 2 metal rods that were covered in blood. He had a bag over his head, and at first, when I first seen the bag, I thought maybe it's possibly a suicide. But the minute that I walked over there and I seen the metal rods with blood, and then I seen a bloody shoe impression, I knew to myself, I said, well, this ain't a suicide because dead people don't walk.
When police discovered that Morgan Leppert's mobile phone was the last number to be called from James Stewart's landline, she became a suspect in the murder investigation. 6 days later, Morgan was found in Stewart's stolen pickup truck, 1,600 miles away in Texas, with her older boyfriend, Toby.
How old is he?
22.
And you're... You want me to tell you how old you are?
15.
Yes, ma'am. Don't you think that's kind of a big age gap?
Nope.
What?
Told me he was going to do whatever he had to do just to be with me. But I didn't know he was going to take it that far.
When questioned by police, Toby confessed that the victim, James Stewart, had been targeted in order to steal his vehicle.
So I was like, motherfucker, give me the fucking keys right fucking now. You don't give me the fucking keys, I'm gonna fucking cut you wide open. Okay. Grabbed the knife now and I tried to stab him in his fucking chest. I'm like, baby, fucking hit him with something.
In his interview, Toby clearly implicated Morgan in the killing.
And she hit him with the pipe in the face. Pow! I was like, bam, 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 bam. I felt his nose break 3 times. Is the plastic bag on his head? Yeah. Face? That's when he passed.
Tell me your reaction when you found out that one of the people responsible for that murder was a 15-year-old girl.
I guess my reaction was more like, was she coerced in doing something like this? You know, is she a follower or is she a leader?
I ain't got nothing to say.
Did you do it?
Ain't got nothing to say.
Hi, I'm Susanna from MyTV. I'd like to see the evidence in the Morgan Leppert case. Okay. Do you have that?
Morgan Leppert was convicted of murdering an elderly disabled man, James Stewart, when she was just 15 years old.
Morgan Leppard was emotional. Today, she cried. She also rested her head in her hands as the jury heard her confess.
How many times did you stab him with a knife?
Toby told me to stab him.
So how many times did you do?
I poked him, and it didn't even go through, for God's sake.
Would we agree that any point in time you wanted to, you could have turned away and walked out of the house?
If I wanted to, I could.
Why didn't you?
Because I wasn't going to leave Toby. I love him so much.
You would commit murder because you didn't want to leave Toby?
I guess so.
This is the interview which puts her away for life without parole. She's absolutely condemning herself. But she's saying that she did it all for him.
Morgan's boyfriend, Toby Lowry, avoided the death penalty by agreeing to testify against her.
The court now adjudicates you guilty as charged in count 1,
a first-degree murder, that you be committed to the Department of Corrections for life without the possibility of parole.
Despite being a child with no previous convictions, Morgan received the same sentence as her 23-year-old boyfriend: life in prison.
Florida Women's Reception Center. Doesn't sound like a prison, does it? But here we are.
It's been 9 years since Morgan was sent to prison. She's now 24.
Hey.
Hi.
I feel like I know a lot about you.
Already.
Until the Supreme Court's ruling, there was no chance of release for prisoners like Morgan.
Maybe one place to start is what you'd say to your 15-year-old self right now.
I wish I wasn't so naive and gullible. I wish I could have listened.
You found you a boyfriend and your mom didn't like him.
She did at first and then turned out not to. It was a dream. It was like every girl's dream. You had the perfect guy. And I was the last man on earth I thought I was gonna be with. Turned out to be a monster. He took my life away from me. What stopped me from running away from him? I was scared of getting killed. So I let him do what he did because I was scared of him. I wish I was smart enough then, like I am now, to know the difference between right and wrong.
Most people would think that a 14-year-old or 15-year-old is old enough to know the difference between right and wrong. They know the moment when they should get away from somebody.
Older people think that young kids at that time know the difference, but they really don't.
What if you never go home?
I would probably kill myself, honestly. No hope, the hope would be gone. I would end it. And it sucks and it's sad, but it's true.
The decision to send a 15-year-old girl to die in prison is monumental.
Hey.
Hey.
Come on in.
9 years ago, Tommy Montero was a member of the jury at Morgan's trial.
She was 15 years old.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who say that at 15, you're not capable of knowing what you're doing. Do you think she knew what she was doing?
She knew exactly what she was doing. He was killed 3 times, brutally beaten almost to death, then stabbed 6 to 8 times, who knows, you know, multiple times. There was quite a lot of holes. And then they suffocated him because he wouldn't die. How many times, what do you want to do this for? What else do you want to do? Put him on fire, right? Give me a break, you know. You got to go to jail. That's where you belong, you and him.
For life?
Yeah, yeah.
To die in prison?
Yeah. Damn right.
In her confession, she says, whatever Toby told me to do, that's what I did. Do you think that was a story that she was spinning?
Sure. Sure, she was that evil. You know, she's a conniver. She was a conniver, you know.
Do you think about Morgan, locked away?
No.
The fact that
No,
they were
I
going to
have
throw
not.
away the key?
Yeah, I could care less, you know. I think about the man that's not here no more. As you can see in my eyes. Can we end it now?
Despite Tommy Montero's view, Morgan is clinging to the hope of freedom. In Jacksonville, Josh Phillips' fight for an early release is reaching a critical stage.
All right. All right, let's recall the case, the state versus Joshua Phillips.
I was 15 when they sentenced me to life the first time. I was just a kid. I was really just a kid that done some really dumb stuff. Horrible stuff, but I've done a lot of growing up.
You want to call your next witness, Mr. Phillips?
Judge, I believe we had
The defense must now address claims presented by the prosecution that Josh watched pornography before he murdered Maddie. Their next witness is one of America's leading experts on the psychology of teenage killers.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Doctor, would you please introduce yourself to the court, please?
My name is James Garbarino. I'm professor of psychology at Loyola University, Chicago, and the author-editor of 25 books.
James Garbarino's work draws on the same neurological discoveries about the teenage brain that first triggered the Supreme Court's review of juvenile sentences.
Now, obviously, we're not looking for excuses here, are we?
Looking for explanations to understand how a monstrous, terrible crime could be committed by a child who was not irreparably damaged, and to understand why and how he could become a good adult, a safe adult, despite the horrific nature of this crime.
Professor Garbarino's expertise is fundamental to the case being presented by Josh's lawyer.
Hi, Mr. Fallis.
Tom Fallis.
This is a situation where the law is finally catching up with science. So now, the science of the brain, maturity, explains why juveniles do what they do and why they shouldn't be treated as adults.
At age 14, part of the brain that regulates the intensity of experience, the nucleus accumbens, is at its peak, which means that everything, positive and negative, feels more intense at that age than it does before or after. So that's relevant because the violent video games and even pornography are themselves intense, arousing experiences, and a 14-year-old would be particularly vulnerable to them at that age. Also, there is the element of his extreme fear of his father. So in a sense, at 14, he was sort of an adolescent squared.
What do you say to those who will inevitably say, Maddie Clifton doesn't have a second chance? Why should Josh?
You see, what you're asking me is quote a moral, like an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth kind of thing. Yeah, I understand why people would feel that way. That's not what the law is about. Thank goodness I don't think we're in that environment anymore.
In your opinion, is Josh Phillips one of the rarest of juvenile offenders whose crime reflects permanent incorruptibility?
No.
Okay. I think that's it.
Okay.
The day's proceedings are drawing to a close, but there's one last crucial witness.
My name is Harry Shorstein. I'm an attorney in Jacksonville and a former 5-term state attorney.
At the time of Maddie's murder, it was Harry Shorstein's decision to charge Josh as an adult for first-degree murder, in the knowledge that a conviction would mean he would never be released.
We've always taken the position that the correct approach to juvenile crime and to crime prevention is to deal aggressively with the very serious juvenile offenders.
19 years later, the former state attorney is once again being questioned about Josh's case.
With the development of the science, the bottom line is that there's no question that you're looking at a different individual at age 14 than you would be looking at age 20, 21, 22, or older. It's pretty much a scientific fact that we weren't fully aware of at the time of this trial.
Had you had this knowledge, would you perhaps have made a different decision in charging Joshua Phillips for first-degree murder?
The answer would be yes.
The judge must now take on board this extraordinary change of heart from Harry Shorstein. It could be a significant blow to the prosecution and Maddie's family.
Why should the defendant be allowed to live normally while Maddie lies in cold in a grave? Should he ever be released from prison, I pray that I will no longer be on this earth.
This landmark case has reached its final day. Maddie Clifton's closest family members now have the chance to make a statement to the court.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Steve and I, we were raising our girls in a Christian home where we prayed every day. What we didn't know was that the devil himself had moved in right across the street. The same devil that picked up his flashlight and proceeded to look for Maddie. You lied to us, all of us. On behalf of Maddie, we beseech you to uphold Josh's sentence of life imprisonment with no chance of parole. Thank you, Your Honor.
After the funeral, I don't really know if I can tell you what happened until I graduated high school. Because I don't remember anything. I lost my childhood too. I lost my mom, I lost my dad, and I lost myself. There's just no, I can't bring myself to think that you should ever be able to walk outside of a prison because she can't. It's just not fair. And you should have to pay the consequence for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Clifton. I know how difficult it is and appreciate you making the effort to do that. Thank you. Okay, would you like to take the stand or just stand up here?
Take the stand.
Okay.
19 years after the murder, Josh has one opportunity to directly address Maddie's family.
I don't pretend to know or understand your pain or to grasp the void that I've created in your lives. I can say this, I do understand pain. I have become quite intimate with suffering. Growing up in prison, I've seen many dark things, and I've been to some dark places. I had no clue what life meant, what death meant, nor the depths of suffering that could follow one act. I had no inkling of how long that suffering could last. I'm supremely grateful to have an opportunity at physical freedom. I did something horrible. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what happened. I think I deserve a chance. I don't think it's too much to ask. I think I deserve it.
Okay, then consider the evidence part of this closed. Either of you wish to make a statement now? Okay.
Each side will now deliver their closing argument, starting with the defense.
The focus is, who is Josh Phillips today? And another thing, Your Honor, we're not talking about Josh Phillips walking out the door tomorrow. We're talking about another additional 20 years that need to be served, followed by 5 years of probation, of which this court can fashion all the conditions that it deems appropriate.
You know, freedom actually scares me because I don't know how to take care of myself. I don't know how to, I've never had a job. I've never had to buy my own food, or pay taxes, you know, or have people to take care of. Heck, I never took care of myself. How am I gonna take care of my mother when I get out of here, you know?
Your experts have told you they believe he is rehabilitated. And these facts and this science are before you uncontroverted. As I said, Your Honor, the focus today is on Josh Phillips and whether or not he deserves to spend the rest of his life without the possibility of ever getting out.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Fouts, okay?
Do you still think about that day?
Yeah, all the time. All the time. Like, I'm trying to use it as motivation because it's very easy to give up in prison. Lots of people give up in prison. But I feel that Even if they have to be in here, they can find a way to being good people. And that's all I can give to Maddie. You know, that's all I can give to her family. I can't bring her back, but I can do things to help this world be a better place.
Now, has he really changed? I hope he has. That's a good thing if he has. I will concede that he's been a model prisoner. The question is, does that guarantee that he will be a model citizen out in society when he has access to pornography? And number two, he has access to young girls. Are we willing to gamble to let him out and see how he does? Is this going to be an experiment? Is that where we're headed in this case? Are we going to experiment and see how he does and hope that he behaves in the outside world? That's what it boils down, Your Honor. And finally, in conclusion, the most troubling thing about this case to me is that we still have that why question out there. And that's because of one man's actions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Tim. We'll stand adjourned. Thanks.
After 4 grueling days reliving Maddie's murder, the wait for the judge's decision begins. Such a huge day. It's utterly momentous for both families. But it's also significant for the country as a whole. Is America ready to change its approach to juvenile killers? Or will the most brutal of crimes still condemn children to die in prison?
All right, good morning. How's everybody? Yeah, morning. Okay, Mr. Phillips is out, and let's call the case of the state of Florida versus Joshua Earl Patrick Phillips. We're here for sentencing, and basically, I've carefully reviewed the evidence in some great detail and arrived at a decision. This is a truly extraordinary case. It's almost unique. It's one of those terrible things you think of, where does this sort of behavior come from? We don't know. I didn't find that the social science experts were able to explain how this happened. Ultimately, there is no real explanation for the level of depravity or detachment or coldness or the callous nature of this. It's a huge mystery. And thus, how do you know when there has been a true sense of rehabilitation? Feeling difficult to go through with this, I have concluded this is one of those rare and unusual crimes where the life in prison sentence is warranted. And
as soon as the judge was talking, I knew within about 30 seconds that he was going to give me life again. And I didn't even know what to think at the time. As it was going on, I was just hoping that he was kind of covering his grounds, you know, and that, but as he kept talking, I realized that wasn't the case.
if you were to find that you could not sentence someone to life in prison for this crime, I think the idea would follow that there probably is no juvenile homicide crime that would warrant or justify a life sentence. So with that said, I'll ask the defendant to come forward.
What did happen? Why did you kill Maddie? What happened that meant that you didn't understand the importance of life of a little girl?
I really don't know.
Hi, Mr. Phillips, it's a sad day for me. I have had to go through this process, and I'm just trying to do my duty the best I could. And I do wish you well. I think there is an opportunity, even with life in prison, to have a meaningful life. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks to the judge, thanks to our lawyer. It all worked out great. Thank you so much.
For the Cliftons, the fight is over, and for taking the life of their little girl, Josh will never be released from prison. The fact that he was a child himself did not diminish his responsibility in the eyes of the judge. How to punish children who kill is one of the most divisive questions faced by any judicial system. And in Josh Phillips' case, there is no second chance.